A very good afternoon. I wouldn't say it's nicer getting older, but one realizes one is more knowledgeable when in one room you see people whom you've bought from, being a buyer, people whom you have worked with, and people who were colleagues. So it's a nice forum, and I welcome you all to one of the most, I think, by now prestigious knowledge forums where we are with the same intention, like my colleagues earlier have mentioned on the dais, intending to give our part to you, our experiences, share our knowledge and experiences. And before I begin, I would actually thank Archana ma'am and Anjali. We are talking the same thing, so I'll be probably skipping a few things. I'm also going to talk about QR and CPM, and to just give you some knowledge and some tools in this brief time of 20 to 30 minutes, and to empower your daily routine cycle. Spinning wheels. Yes, the wheels are now moving. The times have changed. We are not saying they will change. They have already changed. The environment has changed. We've all heard it. It's not 60 to 90 days. It's actually 6 to 9 days now of lead time. Just wondering about the threads. I was reading in a magazine. They're saying we are probably coming to an age where we would only want white shirts and white threads on them, because in 2 days that's what we will be able to do. So that's where we are going to. But anyways, I'll just give a brief glance of the agenda today. Local expansion. I want to touch upon what the 21st century markets hold for us. 21st century markets being defined, I want to understand what is expected from us. And I say us because, again, like Anjali, I've been, since the stages of my inception in the industry, have been a merchandiser all along. We'll go on to why do we need best practices? What are best practices? Can we take the best practices from somewhere? Can we adopt them? We'll try and quickly touch upon two very old. They're not new. They're not new at all. Quick response and critical. These are two tools that can be used in today's world, in our industry as well. And we will also understand two new things that are happening in our industry now, which is RFID and 3D body scanning, okay? Which ultimately leads me to the conclusion saying that we cannot be now limited in our own wells. We need to jump out. We cannot be frogs anymore. And before I actually go on and tell you the global expansion, it's not a spelling mistake, it is global expansion. I need precisely 50 seconds of your attention. Okay, just bang on the board because I'm going to play a video which is going to show how we'll be shopping tomorrow. And why I want to start by that is because retailers, buyers, consumers is one thing. We are the manufacturing side. How we get affected by that is because we will be giving those inputs. We are the ones who will be manufacturing. And if the customer on the screen that you're about to visualize is the customer of tomorrow, it's not very fast-stretched, believe me. We need to be ready for them.
This is the hottest for the season. Okay. No. It's a little too busy. Too purple. Too short. Too hot. Yes, that's new. Okay. I think my mom wore this. This is great. What am I saying? Just kidding.
What happened? What happened there? Whoop, 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 whoop. We got a dress. That's a magic mirror actually. It's already there in Korea. Yeah, what happened? Did you understand what happened? Yeah, it's too purple, it's too short. She's still wearing the same clothes because she's seeing herself in a mirror, which actually is, a magic mirror, which we are saying. It's a brilliant software, a ERP, or whatever you want to call it. But that's how we will be shopping tomorrow. What does that mean for us? we have to be supplying like that. We have to be that flexible that we actually get this message on our smart card or RFID tag or reader, and we say, right, this is what we want in this size, in this color now. 2 to 3 days delivery. Okay, that's what we are talking. And I'll just go back to the original boring stuff of global expansion here, which is the reason why I showed you the video. Global and local. You know, when I was a merchant back in 2001, yes, we had our suppliers, we had our buyers, and we were working fine. We had targets. We didn't have KPIs by that time, key performance indexes, but we had our own set of works that need to be fulfilled. I really was not aware what Walmart meant. I didn't know what Zara did. And I see a lot of merchants here, you know, I see a lot of production people. That makes me happy because I recognize a lot of you. So, when we say global, we really need to understand the global market. You know, one of our gentlemen here mentioned it, that if you don't understand your customer, you know, I have a slide subsequently. If you don't understand your customer, if you don't understand what he's selling, how can you produce for him? I would have to cut a sorry figure, but tell me how many in this room really do know your buyers, not by the count of accounts that you handle. I'm not talking that a merchant handles 4 to 5 accounts. I'm talking, do you know your buyer? Do you know what he is planning for the next season? Do you know why I have put the RFID word on the list? Because Walmart has actually introduced RFID in the underpants and the jeans section. And what that means is, if Walmart is doing it, retailers across are surely going to follow it. We can safely assume that yes, 80% would definitely follow, if not all. You know, this is thinking locally, not globally, locally. We have to think about the globalization, and we have to incorporate what we can do within our local resources. You know, a very fine example here is, everybody understands the symbol? Yeah, brilliant burger manufacturers. Indians love fast food, but do we sell beef burgers? Would we succeed if they were selling beef burgers in India? No. What does well for us is our aloo tikki. Yeah? That is globalization. That's when we say global yet local. If you look at McDonald's within India, you know, if you go to places closer to Gujarat, they will actually have a different menu. More to do with cottage cheese. You know, you go to the metros, they will have a different menu. They'll have more calorie conscious things, because metros people are more diet conscious by now. So this is the terrific example what I can give you about globalization. And this is where we need to now expand our toes. I'm just going beyond our industry, but what I'm trying to say is, this is where we need to move on in our mind horizons. I do not care if you're a junior merchant or a senior merchant or at any level. But if the thinking is now, the inception stage now is correct, this is where you will go. You know, understanding the 21st century markets to a little more closer context, buyers are looking at farm to fashion. I mean, I want a one-stop shop. When I say I'm just taking the advantage of putting myself in buyer's shoes. I'm now the buyer for you. And what I'm saying is, I want a one-stop shop. I want to go to a vendor who can say, yes, I can do the fabric, I can do the trims, and I can deliver this. This is the 2D thing that you gave me, and this is your 3D package that I'm giving it to you. I do not want to be necessarily wasting my efforts in coordination, because I do not have the time now. You know, fashion is changing. We need, the lead times are growing shorter. Everybody's talked about it. So that is what I need. I need a one-stop shop. I need efficiencies in my supply chain management, which my colleagues have earlier spoken about. We need efficient. I mean, India is actually looked at, you know, as one of the not so good managers of supply chain. You know, we keep saying that we need 60 to 90 days. How many days do we give to our production? And this is where exactly I'm coming to, that merchandising being the pre-production activity. There is space here now. You know, being a consultant myself now, over the years, I've realized we keep, you know, looking for niche areas. Yesterday, somebody was talking and saying that we do not use the space underneath our staircase. Brilliant. We don't use the vertical space. I mean, I'm associated with lean manufacturing, and we say use every space, stop the wastage. Give it any jargon. It can be QR, it can be lean. But what we are looking at is reducing lead times, increasing efficiencies. Bang on, increase the bottom line. I don't need to say that if you do this, your bottom line, everything will affect the bottom line. The efficiency actually does increase the bottom line. You know, the secondary thing that is very important for the 21st century market is focus on brand development. I mean, if I have to quickly ask you a question saying that how many of you know foreign brands in India? So many brands in India. You know, after the FDI, everybody, well, the latest being Zara, of course, doing very well. We can count, we can start counting, and we'll take some time. But if I ask you the more difficult question, which is how many Indian brands are there on foreign shores? Now we start scratching our heads. You know, that's another area to look at. That's what the 21st century market is offering. How many of our brands have gone abroad? Only a handful. Okay. Again, product base, widening of the product base. When I'm talking of product base, why do we only restrict ourselves to exports of apparel? I mean, I know for sure we can't be exporting to Bangladesh. They have better manufacturing or less costly manufacturing. Let me not quote. But can I be exporting fabric to Sri Lanka? Can I be exporting yarn to Peru? Yes, I can. So that's the product base that we are saying, that we really need to look at widening our product base now in this century. We do not need to restrict ourselves. You know, it's the figures on the last point would tell you the heavy investment. We are at about 52 right now. We are at about 52 billion right now, and we need 175, 300 crores to reach 100 billion. So that is the kind of potential that the market has. And just by quickly flipping through the understanding of the market, now let's understand what do we need to have to be able to cater to such a market. You know, what do we need from the 21st century merchants? That's all of us. That's you. You know, traditionally we have talked, and we have talked, I would really, I really appreciate Archana ma'am's quote there, just short of pulling stars from the sky. We are expected to do everything. We are, you know, a funny thing is, it's not funny, but the real thing is, designers are forward-thinking people. Okay, they think forward, they do trend forecasting, they say, okay, this color, that color. They are the trade pundits with regards to fashion, with regards to color. When it comes down to buyers, they work backwards. They actually look at the sales figures. They say, this was selling last season. And what are we then? We are the arbiters. We are in the middle. You know, the word fulcrum was used, which was very appropriate. And we said we are in the middle, and we have to kind of coordinate both the things. All these roles of market knowledge, okay, of product development, of course, I completely agree that you cannot get into product development, you cannot get into designing, those are specialized areas. But yes, you must know whether this is right or wrong. You must, with your own senses, be able to take that decision. You must be able to say that this is going to work for my factory. No, you cannot, as Indians, we need to learn how to say no. If I'm running 9 months, I'm running ladies' blouses, I just cannot suddenly get up and say I want to manufacture jackets. I wouldn't do well. You don't need an expert to tell you that. You wouldn't do well. I would rather look at alternate strategies to utilize those 3 months, but not go off my road, unless I have some other strategic planning. Is everybody with me, or the points are too many to? I'm sure you're all doing this by now. You're actually going down to markets. You're understanding the manufacturing capacities. You're just doing all about this. You know, it has now been clinically, actually, it's a psychological context with the amount of responsibilities that all my colleagues have shown. The merchants actually now need to have both the sides of brain working as efficiently. I mean, just to update you, humans use one side of the brain more than they use the other. But as merchants, and the kind of lists that have been shown, very true lists, and the kind of activities that we need to cover, both sides of the brain, that's the left side of the brain, which is more analytical. We cannot live without numbers. Yeah, and this is more creative, more intuitive. Yes, I know the second lab dip is going to fail. What is the next alternate I need to have? So both the sides of your brains need to be as well developed. It's actually a clinical study that I'm telling you about. So this is the kind of a responsibility level that we are looking at. And if you don't do that, this is what you end up making. It's actually a woolly laptop jumper. It's selling on the internet. You have to kind of see it. I'm sure some designer must have thought this is for the privacy of people who use laptops, probably, in public places like airports and stuff. So they said, okay, I don't want to show my stuff. Let's do something. I don't know whether how many copies did it sell or what, but the quote says it all. Designers always want a Mercedes. Yeah, salespeople always want to sell a VW. It sells well. Production guys, no offense meant, want a surfboard. It's easy. It's very easy to make. Merchants should be the arbiters. I'm again coming back to the same point. You cannot have a design. I mean, this is where you step in. This is when I say you need to have all the capabilities and all the understanding and all the tools and all the sound foundation knowledge, whether it is fabrics, okay, whether it is understanding numbers, whether I rightfully agree with you, it is fund transfers. We need profit center heads now. We don't only need merchants. We need profit center heads who can say that, yes, this is my core capacity. My factory does, let's say, 55,000 standard allowed minutes in a month. That's it. I'm going to do this style because it's going to give me some profit out of it. That's what we need. Just going back to what I was saying, you need to understand your customer. This is a label by Walmart. And if you look at it, it's a simple label. It says no boundaries, street element, lab. When you look at this, you actually understand your customer. Now, if I ask you what is Walmart selling, let's forget Walmart is a very big brand. Let's say it's a single brand buyer, and this is the label that they're catering to. We understand the gene of customers that we will be getting, and that is how we need to work. Probably that is the kind of fabrics he would need. Probably this is the kind of washes that he would require. The stitching details, there'll be more trims and accessories, there'll be patent leathers, there'll be more trims. This is the kind of idea one should have about the account that you're working on. Then we are all smart merchants, like Anjali said. Going back to the main topic of today, best practices. What are best practices? I mean, I did my thesis about 5 years back when I did my master's in UK, and the topic was deriving best practices from UK retailers to be adopted by the Indian retailers. Retailers were on a boom in 2005. And I said, what are best practices? That was the first time I asked myself, is there any word called as best practice? I don't think so. I think so there are only good practices. Because if McDonald's did very well selling the beef burgers there, we can sell burgers here, but we need to tweak it. We need more veg burgers here. What I'm trying to say is we can adopt the practices, jargons, as we have been rightfully saying, and the next two jargons which I will be telling you would be quick response and critical path method, but they need to be tweaked according to our own need. They need to be tweaked according to our own understanding. I cannot deny the fact that any given person in the room will say, Pooja, I'm ready to hire a pattern master who's passed out from NIFT or who's done very well and pay him 50,000. Probably I can have one such pattern masters, but I cannot have 5 such pattern masters. Similarly for merchants, we need to have all levels, and that is the reality. We are a labor-oriented, thickly populated nation, and we have all levels of people. So what that means is, if it is a quick response, manufacturing, we need to take the elements. We have a lot of manufacturers supplying to Zara by now, and Zara is an excellent case study for quick response. What it means is now quick response is not only speaking of inventory, point of sale. No, what they're doing is they're also talking of CAD. They're also talking of something called as virtual prototypes. You already have that in place. We definitely waste a lot of time in sample approvals. How about actually having systems wherein you have e-library for fabrics? Yeah, if you don't like color, change it. I'm not going to go to Chennai to my yarn dye supplier or to Bangalore to get the color changed, take another 11 days, give it back to the buyer. Have an e-library. That's where we are using it. Have CAD systems. You can change your markers. You can store your markers. So these are all parts of QR. If we look at certain major areas of QR, we have line development, which is a major merchant responsibility, product sourcing. Buyers are now entering blended sourcing. Blended sourcing is when you have enough lead time for basic products. That's what Zara is doing. So your basic products are out of India or out of Bangladesh. But if you have, where the lead time would be as long as 45 to 60 days. But then they have, if you have a repeat order, probably they're not going to come back to India. They actually stick to closer places. They stick to closer places, they stick to domestic manufacturers who would actually supply the same thing in 3 to 5 days. My bottom line as a buyer depends on how fast I replenish my stocks and how well do I do in my own square feet area. That's how I get rated as a buyer. So, blended sourcing is the next thing. Logistics. And how the QR technology can help us? Internet. I mean, we tend to forget that in 80s, not a lot of people would have in this room worked only with faxes, but there were businesses happening then. It's really difficult to think that we had only faxes, or we actually had couriers, which would take not 2 days, but yes, 2 weeks. So we had business then also, but scenes have changed. So costing, you have softwares to do that. Sampling, I talked about this. Merchandising calendars, you have pop-ups. You need to know the red areas, where you need immediate actions. We are all human beings. I, on the top of my head, cannot remember probably more than 10 things in a day, but I definitely have more than 1,000 things to do. So what do we do next? You have EDIs, you have resource planning. A very small example, which is in a form of a diagram to show you, talking about touch time and time-based QRM. If you see the darker areas, the darker gray areas, I've mentioned an aspect of order entry. Actually, it would take 3 hours. Okay, that's the dark gray area. And if I look at component fabric, that's 12 days. If I look at assembly, which is production, that's 9 days. Pack and ship, 8 days. But what is actually happening is the bigger slab. Okay, the order entry is taking 5 days. Perhaps we did not get enough time or enough information from the buyer on the PO. The fabric took 12 days, assembly took 9 days. So if you look at the total lead time, it is 34 days. Vis-a-vis the actual work. Do you understand the difference between the darker gray areas and the whole slab? That's the actual time that should have been taken, but the time taken by the job is the bigger area. So QRM is just talking about how we can actually reduce the total lead time. It's just a method to tell you how to reduce lead time. The second method, which I quickly want to touch upon, would be critical path method, which Anjali also actually touched upon, so I'll just quickly rush through it. And it's as back as, going back to the moon. It was Mr. Kennedy who said that, I wish somebody from Earth could land on moon. And precisely, I think, 8 years, 1969, NASA actually used the critical path method to send a man on the moon. And what simply critical path method means is you're just breaking your jobs. You're defining the earliest possible, the latest possible. You're defining what can overlap what, and you're just telling yourself this is the job. I kind of made a small example for you, and I put it on board. It's again a very, just to show you an example. AEAP here would mean as early as possible. Okay, and I thought you would correlate more to lab dips and fits. And actual is actual, and as late as possible. So I just said first lab dip from the color chip that we develop. As early as possible could be 1 day. You provide the mill with QTX standards and they would do the thing in 1 day. Actual would be 2 days. And as late as possible, which we actually do on our TNAs, would be 3 days. With this example, I actually want to leave a very strong thought with all of you when you make your time and action calendars, and the foundation comes from critical path method. What I'm trying to say is, if you add up the days on as early as possible, okay, that's the best possible that you can give. That's around 6 days for a lab dip and a first fit. Actually, 10 days. And if I take it as late as possible, it is 14 days. So in our current systems, in our inherent systems, what we do is as late as possible. Simply because at each stage, I'm actually putting a buffer. I'm making a safety period. मेरा लैब डिप वाला कभी एक दिन में नहीं देगा. He will definitely take 3 days. वो भी गलत देगा, एक बारी में तो सही आएगा ही नहीं. But what I'm trying to say is, do it as early as possible. Make your timetable. Now this is a mindset change actually, what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, make your TNA as early as possible and add that buffer at the end. It is just tackling the issue in a different manner. And when you actually really look at it, even if you add a 20% buffer at the end, 6 days actually comes down to 7.2, or even if you take it at 8, you know, there's a big difference between 8 days and 14 days. And I've just talked about the most simple of operations. You know, we were talking about the number of tasks one need to handle. If you're handling 10 lines in a year, you're doing 4 seasons, 10 lines, you're doing 35 to 60 odd tasks. That's about 1500 tasks that the merchants are handling at any given point in time. And if you're adding a safety buffer of 20% each time, the figures are humongous. I didn't calculate. What I'm doing is just do the TNA as it is. Say as early as possible. This is what I want and this is what I should aim at. And then, of course, owing to the standards, difficulties, problems, technical difficulties that our industry faces, let me add a buffer of 20% at the end. But let me start with the right thought. That is what is important. I want to start with the right thought.
Pooja, I think another 2-3 minutes you'll have to wrap up.
Sure. Quickly, I've been actually running through because I know being the last person, all half the heads must be thinking of nice, some gobi Manchurian or something outside. RFID, this is another technique which is not new to the world, but new to our industry now. They're just radio frequency identification tags. And why they are different from a UPC code is because they already have readers. They're just active always, right? And Walmart is using them. Okay. And the second thing that I was saying, which will make an impact to us, why am I discussing RFID and 3D body scanning, is because this will actually make an impact to the way we function. We are actually entering an age wherein we said mass market, you know, mass product segments. Garments are a mass product segment. Now we are going for mass customization. Now I have some figures here which actually says there are no perfect fits, and especially for women. I mean, I take the liberty of saying this. 62% of shoppers can't find the clothes that fit. You know, 59 say that the fit is not consistent. Again, I'm talking of the more beautiful creatures on earth, that's us. I'm not talking of blocks, because your 40 size would fit a 32, a 34, a 36 waist man. I'm talking of a more stylish, with no offense meant to the gentlemen in this room, but I'm talking to the more, stylish clothes that I'm saying, and this was a survey done not by me, but they said actually they get confused, you know, if a next 10 means something, MNS 10 means another thing. So we're talking of mass customization, wherein I walk into a virtual store, there are laser beams across me, my 3D prototype is then scanned and it's sent to the manufacturer and my clothes fit me. As simple as that. So this is what we are looking forward, this is what our future is, and we will of course have to cater to it. Customers rule, customers, everybody's talked about it, customers you can't forget, customers or buyers, whatever you want to say. And the key to success, I mean, really positively, definitely, what we need to do is, we have to have optimization in products, prices and processes. We have to ensure that the merchants have solid understanding of their tools. And if it is not done in colleges, and even if it is done in colleges, I think what Mr. David said in the beginning, training is a very, very, very essential part of any process house. You know, if you're training your people ask me, the first thing that I go and I'm into consultancy and I'll ask, you know, I'm a trainer, they'll say, Pooja, दो चीजें होती हैं. Either they run away or they ask for a hike in salary. Right, they're not going to run away to the moon, they're going to stay in the industry. So that's the thinking that I need from owners who are present here, you know, they're going to revolve. And the industry, it's a holistic view. You cannot be frogs in the well. I'm repeating. Marketing, again, must be integral to merchandise planning. I need to know what I can market. Good practices will cross-pollinate. We need to take the best for us. Being Indians, we have, and in the garment industry, we have typical characteristics. We need to have the best out of everything. Shift in merchandising capabilities is strategic. You know, we have to accept the new technologies as enablers and not say that, oh God, ye wala bhi bharna pada format. No. You know, it's for you. TNAs done by the buying officers were actually for you. They're not close to the product at all. It was for you to understand where you are and where your product is. Because actually you also sit in your ivory towers. You do not go to the production floors. So it was for you, but suddenly it becomes buyer ke liye bharna padta hai. No, that's not that. So change is inevitable. Growth is optional. And I end by saying we cannot be frogs in the well. And I'm certainly famous for having some funny videos, so I thought I'll end with this.
What this organization desperately needs is change. Easily erasable.
So I hope you enjoyed the presentations that we have done. I speak from the on the behalf of everybody on the dais, and I hope we've given something for you guys. It's a good change that you're here. It's a good step forward. It's a good break. Yes, we will go back to office on Monday. We will have approximately more than 150 emails to answer. We will have all those things happening. But these are good breathers, and one must thank OGTC for giving this platform wherein we can meet and interact every year. Thank you very much.